I just posted a sketchbook doodling video, but I actually wanted to just kind of sit down at my desk and paint, so I figured I might as well just set up recording just so I would have the footage in case I wanted to make a video out of it, and it turns out I do, so that is what this is. For the first piece in this video, there's actually two actual like separate sketchbook pages that I filled in this video. This is the first one, obviously, and this one is kind of a redraw of something I've drawn in the past. When I was in high school, I painted this girl with like galaxy hair, and then I redrew it in a sketchbook a year or two ago, I want to say. I don't really remember when, but I just kind of wanted to paint it again. It wasn't anything super serious, I just wanted to play with it, and it has been quite a while actually since I've just kind of sat down and played with my watercolors, so I was excited to do watercolors again because I've been having a lot of fun using the gouache I got and then just pretty much playing around with other mediums, but as a whole I haven't used watercolor in a while, so it was nice to just kind of whip it out and play with it again, especially since last time I used watercolors, I was using water brushes a lot. Like, more than anything, I was using water brushes a lot. Just because they're convenient and they're easy. And I just wanted to use a paintbrush because I don't really like water brushes, honestly. I like how convenient they are, but when it comes to, like, water control, I feel like you don't have as much control with water brushes. I do appreciate them. Like I said, they're very convenient, especially when you're painting on the go or painting in weird circumstances where you don't have a flat surface. Water brushes definitely are a cool way to go, but if I'm able to, I definitely prefer using just a straight up cup of water and a paintbrush. However, I'm stupid, and when I was setting up this video, I was setting up the stand I used to record, and I tipped over the cup of water that I use, and mind you, it wasn't even all the way full. It was probably like 3/4 of the way full, but I tipped it over and I knocked over like half the cup's worth of water, like directly onto my sketchbook. So I like had a heart attack and I grabbed my sketchbook and I ran downstairs to get paper towels. And by some godsend, like, the water legitimately bounced off of the cover. I think if I had not painted this sketchbook's cover already, I think we would have been dealing with a lot more damage, but just the fact that the cover had like a very decent layer of Mod Podge to seal it, I think that saved my butt, because I don't know how, but not a single page within the sketchbook got touched with water, and I dumped a lot of water directly onto the sketchbook. The only thing that got wet that kind of sucks, which it's not a big deal, is the back cover of this sketchbook got wet. And not even all of it, it was like a 1/6 of the back cover, but it separated the cardboard. But like, out of all the things that could have happened, that's like nightmare situation. As soon as it happened, I was like, oh god, oh no, because I was processing what happened, and it scared the crap out of me. I was very worried that I destroyed a lot of stuff within the sketchbook, but by some miracle, nothing bad happened. It was really scary though, because I like threw water onto my watercolor palette and my sketchbook and a cell phone, and I was like, oh my god. But I was very lucky and nothing got wrecked, so that's very good. But that's like something that I'm always like, yeah, this is gonna happen to me eventually, because I'm not super careful with my surroundings. I have very poor spatial awareness, so it was bound to happen. And it happened, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But with this drawing, I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. I wish that she was a little bit higher up on the page, just because there's a lot of white space at the top of the page, but I kind of wanted to take some of what I have learned from using gouache and apply it to my watercolors. So I'm very happy to say that I did not use any kind of liner for this piece. I just painted everything. I painted the outlines and stuff, which I have never done with watercolors ever, actually. I've always heavily relied on some kind of other supply to do line work, and I do still heavily rely on line work, but it was cool to just do line work with watercolors, just because I've never done that before. And I did mention I wanted to try that out and see how it would go in my Arteza gouache video, because that is how I use gouache. I don't really know why. It's like such a night and day difference from like my automatic instinct on how I want to use watercolor versus how I want to use gouache. When I use gouache, I want to just use gouache. But when I use watercolor, I tend to rely on using pencils for like added details and like shading, and I rely on any kind of liner, whether that be like a brush pen or a colored pencil, etc., to do line work. But when it comes to gouache, I rely on the gouache, and just the gouache, and I try to do everything with the gouache. It's really weird, because that's like, basically right from the start, I just kind of handled gouache a lot differently than I handled watercolor, which in the grand scheme of things, it is quite a different medium, but it's very different. But I am really happy with how that piece turned out. I'd like to revisit it on paper that does not want to die when I put water on it. This is the Canson XL mixed media paper, and it does handle water. Like, you can use watercolors and gouache on this paper, but it buckles really easy with that. It holds it. You're not like ripping holes in the paper by any means, but it does buckle quite a bit, and I'm okay with it. It's just a sketchbook, so I'm not really worried about it buckling, and I kind of like it when I have buckled paper because it makes the sketchbook thicker. It's weird, but I would like to revisit that on nicer paper, I think, just because I really like the techniques I used with that, versus the second illustration I did within my sketchbook, which is the one that's on screen right now. This is how I normally paint with watercolors. I'm very messy about it. I'm not super focused on necessarily precisely laying down the paints, so I just kind of make a mess. And with this in particular, what I was using to record actually died, so I did not record me finishing painting it, but I did record everything else. I recorded a very small amount of me painting it, so I'm sorry about that if you were interested in that. It's nothing special though, it's very messy. I just slapped down colors. And then for this one, initially I was going to go with the same style of just kind of using watercolors for the line work and stuff, but that took so long with like the galaxy hair piece. And I do like how it looks, but it just took a really long time, so I decided to just kind of keep it simple and use a brush pen that I had in my pencil case. I really like this brush pen, I really like this brush pen, but the kneaded eraser I actually have in my pencil case really likes to leave residue on this poor brush pen, so it's kind of nasty, honestly. The barrel of the pen is just, it's not pretty anymore, so that's something that happened. But as a whole, I am really happy with how both of these turned out. For once, I'm not doing only fan art. Whoa, crazy. I've been on like a fan art spree lately, and that's pretty much all I've been drawing, which I'm okay with. I'm not offended by that. I like drawing fan art, but it's kind of nice to just draw my own thing once in a while and not have to worry about like making things look right. It was also nice to use my watercolors again, especially with the Shinhan palette I have, which is the one I used in this video. I haven't used that watercolor palette in quite some time, actually. I've been sticking with my Kuretake Gonzai Tombi watercolors, which I love them both, but it's nice to just use the stuff I don't use super often because I still really like these watercolors as well. But that is pretty much it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.